Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Red Plays. This is Total Extreme Wrestling for our All Elite Wrestling Save. A few weeks away from Full Gear. Looking forward to it. As we've said in the last few episodes, we are still establishing our storylines. We're still trying to get everything right where they need to be in terms of storyline heat. And we are well on our way there. Some of the storylines, such as this Inner Circle one, has had a bit of a hit in recent times. We're trying to lift it back up. Some of the other ones like this Hardys and Lucha Bros, just not enough done yet to really get it to where we want it to be. So we're spending the next few episodes trying to really establish everything and plan for Full Gear. We're hoping that we can have one of our best events of the series at that show. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. So with that being said, we need to keep moving along, and well, we've already got Dynamite booked, so we may as well jump straight into it. Alright, on the pre-show, Dustin Rhodes took on Brandon Cutler for a 50 rated match. Dustin 48, Cutler 45. Both guys performing really well. Both have great chemistry together. Trying to get a few guys like Dustin Rhodes a chance to get some wins to try and overturn their pretty bad momentum. So win over Cutler here will help that. Pretty good match, so 50 for these two is a lot better than I expected. I was expecting 35 or so. Trying to get Matt Sydal some momentum too. He picks up a win over Sean Dean, 41. Hybrid 2 trying to get them some momentum as well, 41 for them. 50 and 47 were their performances, so really good performances from them. Just don't have a lot really going for them. You know, I don't really know what we could do with them. You know, they kind of would benefit from being in a group, but there's no real groups available at the moment that would kind of suit. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with Hybrid 2, but they are still performing really, really well. Alright, we open up the main show. The Super Elite, they gloat about how great they are when the lights go out and they get attacked by Darby Allin and Malachi Black. So they're gloating about how we're beating up CM Punk, we're beating up Bryan Danielson, we are just continuing to beat everybody. We are so great. Well, the lights go out, Malachi Black, Darby Allin, they promised that they were going to start coming after the rest of the Elite, and they did so here, and they get a few shots in. You know, they come in, they might probably get one or two strikes on each guy, and they eventually scatter away and run for their life to the Elite. So 85 for that one. Good stuff. So it's just showing that the Elite are a little bit vulnerable, that Malachi and Darby are here. They're being introduced into this rivalry, and showing that it's not just CM Punk and Bryan Danielson that they have to worry about. There's a few other guys that are coming after the Elite as well. Brandi and Velvet took on Mel and Jamie Hayter. This is the final match of the first round of the Women's Tag Team Tournament. 38 rated match. Best of the match was Brandi Rhodes, 44. Not much to really say about this, but a win for Brandi and Velvet to get them into the next round, which I think they'll be taking on the Inspiration next. Kenny Omega storms into Sting's office and he demands a match. Sting gives him a match against Darby Allin in our main event tonight. So Kenny, be careful what you wish for. Hikaru Shida with a 47 rated promo. Pretty good here, as she kind of accepts Layla Hirsch's challenge and keeps building towards that match at some point. So obviously this is a match that'll just be featured on maybe Dark. Maybe it might get a Dynamite or a Rampage spot, I don't know. Maybe a pre-show match on the pay-per-view, I don't know. But you know, it's a small little rivalry to try and boost up Layla Hirsch and give Shida something to do. Paul White has an interview with Alex Marvez and he talks about Lance Archer. 74 rated here, so good promo here from Paul White. He'll be talking about how he's getting back in the ring. Lance Archer's his first major test in a singles match since coming to AEW, and how difficult this is and how important it is. So 74 for that one, and continues that storyline. The Acclaimed had a 66 rated match with the Hardys. Bowens 34, Caster 33, Jeff Hardy 77, Matt Hardy good 68. So good match overall. We had the Lucha Bros ringside as well, watching on and kind of scouting out their opponents as the Hardys grabbed the win. In the backstage locker room, Lio Rush offers to help the Acclaimed. So Lio Rush is trying to recruit for his new group, the Portfolio, and the Acclaimed are his first targets. I do feel like this could be a good combination. You know, Bowens and Caster are good, but I think they're missing something. We need to try and elevate them to the next level. Lio Rush could be a good helping hand in that way. Alright, we had Adam Page saying that he will fight all comers. Doesn't matter who it is. He'll fight anybody. Whoever wants this TNT Championship, come and get it. Well, Miro, Park, and Christian Cage all come out to let their intentions be known that they want the TNT Championship. So we are setting up for the big four-way match between these four guys, which I think could be a real classic. I really believe that could be an 80-plus match. 92 for the segment. Good stuff. Lucha Bros, this is their turn now to show what they can do. They took on and defeated the Varsity Blondes in a 64 rated match. We had the Hardys on commentary for this one. In the match though, we had 2.0 interfere and distract Brian Pillman to try and screw them over. So we know the Varsity Blondes and 2.0 have been having their issues, and it did help the Lucha Bros pick up the win. In the end, 64 rated match, Penta 72, Phoenix 77. Pillman Jr. was good though, 43. That's one of his best performances. Griff Garrison 34. So another good way to kind of feature the Varsity Blondes, similar to the Acclaimed, in a higher profile match. We had the better team win, of course, but we do advance a couple storylines here in the meantime. So it did accomplish what we were looking for. Serena Deeb talks about why she wants to remove Ruby Soho from AEW. So she's not happy that Ruby's here, and she wants to make sure that she leaves ASAP. Pretty much because Ruby's trying to take her spot. You know, Serena Deeb feels like she's owed a lot more and entitled to a lot more than what she gets. So she's trying to make sure that someone like Ruby Soho isn't going to take those opportunities away from her. Jade Cargill had a 22 rated match against Leva Bates. Not good. 43 from Jade, 25 from Leva. Took a risk with this one. I just wanted to have a quick squash match to give Jade a win and kind of be done with it. Jade, we're trying to change her gimmick. She's got a bad gimmick at the moment, so let's change it. And her new gimmick is rated as great. Wow, great. So that's going to potentially increase her popularity a little bit easier. I think she's had a bad gimmick which has really stifled her progression over the last 6 or so months. So a better gimmick could be a real key to trying to fix her popularity issues. So a nice win nonetheless. Next up, we had Col Commander and Powerhouse Will Hobbs teaming up to take on Ricky Starks and Bobby Fish. So kind of sticking two rivalries into the one here. Colt and Powerhouse Will Hobbs have zero chemistry. They were terrible together. So Will Hobbs 40, Col Commander 37, Bobby Fish 54, Ricky Starks 50. Yeah. So Bobby Fish was great, 54, and I think he probably would get a boost for being a tag team specialist, I would assume. Maybe not here, but Ricky Starks 50, so no surprise those guys are great, but obviously would expect a little bit more on the babyface side of things. And surprisingly, it was Col Cabana who was the worst of the match. I would have thought Will Hobbs would have been, but yeah, Colt takes it out. So 51 rated match, probably not much worse than what I thought it was going to be. I was thinking maybe 55 to 60 at best. So it wasn't a bad match by any means, and especially because, it had bad chemistry. So in the end, Ricky Starks and Bobby Fish got the win. Ricky Starks pinned Colt Cabana, so there you go. The Pinnacle ambushed the Nightmare family backstage to send a message to Cody. So a bit of a backstage attack here. They beat down Lee Johnson, Brock Anderson, and a few other members of the Nightmare family to send a message to Cody that, you can bring all the family members you want, but they're just going to get hurt. At the end of the day, it's me and you, Cody. That's what it needs to be. You want to keep bringing other people in, well, this is what's going to happen. So 85 for this segment, and trying to introduce, obviously, a few other of the lower end guys, and not only that, obviously, FTR, Sean Spears, Wardlow, getting them more involved as well, trying to see if we can maybe boost them up in the meantime, rather than just making it all about MJF and Cody, trying to add a few different elements to get everybody over. So 85 for that one. Main event was Kenny Omega and Darby Allin, just 72 rated here. So we didn't have a storyline associated directly. So we didn't want to have the CM Punk and Danielson storyline going on with the Elite be affected, because that storyline heat is really, really high. So we didn't introduce that into the storyline, but I really thought this match would do a lot more than what it was. Kenny performed at 90. That's right, 90 rated for Kenny. That is huge. And Darby was good too, 62. So if you had met more in the middle, I feel like 75 to 80 would have been more likely, but it just didn't quite get there. But nonetheless, Kenny Omega cheated his way to a victory over Darby, and the Elite have the final laugh here on this one. So, yeah, the Elite, another one up here. They did have to cheat their way to a victory, but I'm sure once Malachi Black gets involved here, things might change very, very quickly, especially when CM Punk and Danielson come back nonetheless. So we're probably trying to get the Elite a few wins while they can, because I think at the end of the day, they're probably going to lose overall. Nonetheless, a 74 rated show here for Dynamite. Well, the world of wrestling news, obviously some news from last week or so, as the time of recording this. Ring of Honor has basically said, look, we're not coming back for the foreseeable future until, maybe April, March next year. So they've released everyone from their contracts. Now, it's too hard to kind of replicate that in our game, and I wouldn't really want to do that because, Ring of Honor will die straight away. I've got $2 million at the moment in our game, so they probably would be okay when I think about it, but they would just end up signing so many new people back, and it just would be a really weird, different feeling and vibe from it. So I'm gonna leave it as is. I mean, Jim Cornette's already the booker of Ring of Honor. I don't know how that happened, but there you go. So yeah, I'm not going to flip the bus on Ring of Honor. I'm gonna keep as is there. But as we know, WWE have made another huge amount of releases once again. I mean, it's crazy how many people they've released when you really think about it in our game. So let's have a look at some of these releases. We know Scarlett is one of them. She's got 54 popularity. Wow, that's pretty big stuff. She started around 46, so she's been able to gain quite a lot as the series is going on. So she's one of them. We know the big one for me is Killer Cross getting released. 36 years of age, 54 popularity, as we know. He's been doing really, really well until he got to the main roster. So that's a bit of a shock. I feel like he has so much potential to really do great. So it is a little bit surprising that they did remove him. But look, sometimes these things happen, I suppose. But he'd be a guy that I think AEW would probably want to pick up. I think he's got so much star quality. He's got 83 here in the game. So that's pretty big stuff. The other one's Keith Lee, again, 36 years of age, 61 popularity. He'd be another guy that you definitely would think about bringing up into AEW. But again, the problem with Keith Lee, I mean, he could do really well, I suppose. He's got much more size about him, so he would stand out a lot more. A bit like Killer Cross, he's got a bit more size, a bit more muscle. He'd be used as a real top-tier heavyweight guy. Keith Lee more as a super heavyweight guy, whereas AEW don't have a lot of that. So those are two guys that you definitely could see, doing quite well because of their size, just kind of standing out a little bit better. Some other guys, I've always been a big fan of Grand Metalik. I think this dude is crazy good in the ring. Some of the stuff he can do is just unbelievable. So he's got some really good stats, but again, not a lot of popularity. Would he really stand out? I don't think so. He'd be a guy that probably better off going back to Mexico or something like that. I don't think he would really thrive here in AEW. Some of the women, Taya Valkyrie, she could be a factor, but she's quite older now, 37. How much can she really offer in the ring? In fact, she's with AAA anyway, so she didn't even sign with WWE in our game. We know Mia Yim, she's one that was with NXT. She's got 48 popularity. She would be a really good factor for our roster, I think. I think AEW would be pretty crazy to pass up on her. She's got some really good in-ring skills, and she'd be a real asset to their women's division. So for our game, we'd have to probably take that consideration as well. 48 popularity in this game, which is quite high. Probably not realistic to where she's at in real life, but she might have enough skills here to really be a major factor for the women's division. So we'll wait and see what happens with them in real life and kind of where they go in real life. But I think Mia Yim will probably end up there. And Emma Moon would have to be another one as well that you'd have to be considering bringing in. All right, let's jump into AEW Dark. And to open up the show, we've got Mark Henry and Will Hobbs in the ring. They invite Bobby Fish to come to the ring and have their big match tonight. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk between Fish and Hobbs when they're going to actually fight one another. Mark Henry says, why don't we just do it tonight? We're here, you're here, let's do it. Bobby Fish, he says, look, no. I'm going to do it on my terms. We fight when I want to. I've been around for a lot longer than you have. You don't get to tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. So Fish playing that veteran card. 55 for the promo, which is really good, gaining some storyline heat as well. So a nice solid segment. We had a tag team match here with Ruby Soho and Hikaru Shida. This is a bit of a dream team, I suppose, for AEW. This is probably the best, two singles wrestlers that we could put together in a team. Well, they're teaming up tonight to take on Layla Hirsch and Serena Deeb. 48 rated match. Shida 53, Soho 51, Layla 32, Serena 35. Overall, really solid stuff here. So really good match. We'll boost up both storylines. We gave Shida and Soho the win due to Serena and Layla Hirsch having a bit of miscommunication. And basically Layla Hirsch took the pin thanks to a roll-up. So we still progressed the storyline a little bit. It wasn't truly a reflection of how those singles matches are going to go. But we do know Soho and Shida are going to win those feuds anyway. So maybe it's a sneak peek of what to expect. But look, 48 for the women is always really, really good. Jade Cargill and Britt Baker answer questions from the media about their upcoming match. They end up arguing and storming off. So we had some of the managers and some of the backstage announcers play the role of the media in this one. Obviously, we'd have some more people here if it was a real one, or different people, I suppose. But for the sake of the segment, we put them in there. So Marbez, Gonzalez, Abrahantes, and Guerrero playing the role of the media. Tony Schiavone's the mediator. So basically, a bit of a press conference sort of situation. They're sitting down, they're answering questions about why they're going to win the match, who's the better out of the two, and what they're going to do, that sort of thing. So it ended up being a 60 rated segment, which I really cannot believe it ended up being that good. 60 rated, I'm kind of blown away. Obviously, Britt's a great promo, Jade's a good promo, Tony Schiavone's good. But I guess we did something really different here. We've gone for a different approach, and it really worked. 60 rated in the end, so I'm really, really pleased how this segment turned out. And that could be a real jolt that the storyline needs to kind of get to that next level, because it's been a little bit so-so, it's a bit stale, not much happening, so I think this will really help it out. The Factory, they talk about why they are the future of AEW. It's a bit of time to fill here on Dark, so I thought, why not get the Factory some TV time, get him a promo. 28 for that one. Jeff Parker took on Griff Garrison for 33. I knew this match probably wouldn't go down well because there wasn't enough popularity, but I figured let's try it, let's see if it does pay off. In the end, no, it did not have enough popularity to be warranted to be on the main show. Jeff Parker 43, Griff Garrison 30. It was a good match, don't get me wrong. It was a nice solid match. Jeff Parker picked up the win thanks to Matt Lee's interference. So 2.0, screwing their way to a victory again. So yeah, it wasn't bad, but obviously might have got a little bit better of a response if it was on the pre-show. Leo Rush says his portfolio is building and he is starting to get some inroads here with some talent. So obviously Leo Rush is on the recruitment. He's trying to find someone to join his group, and looks like the Acclaim could be the first ones to be added in. Maybe someone else might be coming soon for Leo. So 37 for that one. Brian Cage attacks Col Commander before his match with Ricky Starks. 54 for that one. So a premeditated assault by Ricky and Brian Cage to make sure the Colt is not 100% for the match. So Ricky and Brian are still together in our save. I don't really have any plans to break them up because I really don't know what I would do with Brian Cage. For me, Ricky Starks will be the star of the group. That's the plan anyway. So Brian Cage kind of be floundering around doing nothing otherwise. So, Cage here can at least be, the big guy for Ricky. So 54 for that one. And the match itself, only 9.5 minutes because of the fact that Col Cabana was injured. So not 100%, so he couldn't last as long as he would. So the match between Ricky and Col Cabana, only 9.5 minutes because, Col Cabana injured before the match, so he wouldn't be able to last as long as he maybe normally would have if he was 100%. And also it gives us a reason to give Ricky Starks the win, put a bit of heat on him, and obviously come back to this match later on, maybe in a more high-profile situation, maybe on a Dynamite, maybe on the pay-per-view. But Ricky 55, Col Cabana 48, both really did well because they have great chemistry. So this is a good pairing. It was not long, so I feel like we could get a lot more out of this in the future. 56 rated match in the end. And Taz ended up interfering as well, so Ricky just had all the help in the world here, and the cards were just stacked against, the deck was stacked against Col Commander for this one. He had no chance. Gives us a 50 rated edition of Dark in the end. Alright, now on to Rampage on the pre-show. The Acclaim, they get a victory over Bear Country in a 33 rated match. We had Leo Rush ringside, kind of scouting out the Acclaim, then the Acclaim pick up a nice win just to kind of boost up their momentum a little bit as we get, well, pretty much prepared, I would say, to push them. That we haven't really done a lot with them, but I think now that Leo Rush is here, might be a chance to do something with them a little bit more. Alright, we open up the main show with the Super Elite mocking Bryan Danielson and CM Punk for having Darby and Malachi do the fighting for them. Basically saying, look, where are you guys? You guys are still hurt, still injured. You have to get Darby, Malachi to do your work for you. Why don't you just come here and fight us yourselves? So, continuing that storyline, obviously Darby and Malachi being inserted into this, and we're getting ready for Punk and Bryan Danielson to come back at some point. Maybe it might be during a Young Bucks tag team match against Darby and Malachi potentially. But also in this segment here, we're kind of saying that the Elite, they're here every week and they're going to do their own work for themselves. And that's why we're leading into the next match. Adam Cole will have a match against Dante Martin, and it was a 65 rated match. Adam Cole 73, Dante 36. So I want to try and spotlight Dante Martin a little bit here, get him on TV, show us what he can do. I know in real life he's been amazing, he's been really, really exciting to watch. So I want to try and replicate that a little bit in our game and get him a bit more of a push. And I think the best way to do that is just to have him have good matches with some of the top guys. And that's what we went for here. A good match with Adam Cole, a 73 from Cole, 36 from Dante, a 65 overall, a nice solid win for Adam Cole, who hasn't done a lot in terms of in-ring matches since coming into AEW for us. Chris Jericho warned Sammy Guevara to never come back to AEW because it'll never be the end of it. These two will always hate each other, and Chris will make sure that he makes Sammy Guevara's life hell. So 81 for this one. Chris Jericho just can't seem to get Sammy Guevara off his mind. He's just so furious about Sammy Guevara turning his back on the Inner Circle. And obviously Sammy's been on the injured list as well after getting beaten down by the Inner Circle, so we're waiting for his return as well. Alright, we had the Women's Tag Team Tournament match, a 27 rated match between TJ and Superbad. Just not quite enough popularity to get this one up over that hurdle. Look, 27, it's a bit low. I would have liked to have seen this one mid-30s or so, but these are two of our weaker teams. In the end, we gave TJ the win, so we're looking to give TJ a pretty solid push here. 30 from Penelope, 36 from Ali, and Ty Conti 27, and Anna Jay 36. Surprised that Anna Jay is doing that well in comparison to Ty Conti, but yeah, there you go, 27 match. And now Anna and Ty, so TJ will now be in the final of the tournament coming up soon. The Hardys and the Lucha Bros agree to a match. So 68 for that one. MJF mocks the Rhodes family and says that Dustin is and always has been better than Cody Rhodes. So trying to use Dustin to get under the skin of Cody a little bit. We're going to have MJF and Dustin coming up soon. So it's also another ploy by MJF. Look, if he loses to Dustin or something goes wrong tonight, well, look, Dustin Rhodes is better than Cody, so fair enough. So an 82 rated promo here. Probably should have had this one advance the storyline heat. I didn't think this would do as well as it did because I thought Dustin might not be able to carry this segment, but I should never have doubted Dustin Rhodes. That's mistake number one. He's always able to get it done. So 82 for that promo. The match, wow, 75. Wow, that is really, really solid. MJF defeated Dustin Rhodes, 12-minute match, 75 rated. MJF 83, Dustin 46. So we had this as a wild brawl. I thought, okay, what's Dustin really good at? Probably brawling, so we'll go with that. And I think it really helped out in the match overall. It probably helped MJF as well. So a really solid match in the end. And once again, didn't have it advance the storyline here because I knew this could be a bit of a danger to maybe lower it. But a solid match here for Rampage. And I feel like that could really help Dustin Rhodes out. A really big match in a main event. Post-match, we had Cody Rhodes stopping MJF from trying to take down his brother and beat him down, and MJF receives a crossroads from Cody. So Finally, Cody Rhodes able to shut up MJF a little bit here and get a little bit of revenge of what's been going on as of late. 73 for that one. Overall, a 66 rated edition. So we had probably 2 solid matches. I think that third match, the TJ and Superbad match, was always going to be a letdown, but that's the risk that you have when you're trying to get the women on TV, you're trying to get that tournament over, you need to have them on the show. So it was always a risk, didn't quite pay off nonetheless, but 66 for that edition of Rampage. Okay, on to the results. So obviously Rampage, 66 rated, over 1 million viewers combined, which is going to be a little bit lower than what we've usually been covering. SmackDown, 78 rated for their show, over 3 million viewers in total for that one as well. Triple threat match for the world title on this show, so no surprise that it did pretty well. Baron Corbin, 86 for his performance. Wow, doing pretty well there. So obviously in real life, as of recording this right now, Full Gear has just taken place in the real world. So one of the big things that came out of Full Gear was Jay Lethal. He is going to be joining AEW, so we are going to try and sign him for our game. 53 popularity for him. Currently, he's employed by Ring of Honor, but as it turns out, he only had a few more days. I think he had 38 days left on his contract. So his contract was going to be expiring anyway, so it ends up being perfect timing. So yeah, Jay Lethal's going to come in. Obviously, I've seen Jay Lethal quite a lot in TNA back in the day. I knew he was going to be, something, but I'm surprised it's taken him this long to get a permanent spot in a national company. In the WWE's never gone for him. Over the years, he's averaging 72 in the game for his overall match rating, which is pretty good. Considering his popularity, it's pretty solid. His best match he's had is 81. So he's obviously been a pretty big, important factor in Ring of Honor for the last probably 10 or so years. So it's good to see him switch it up. So he'll be joining us. In terms of what we're going to be able to accomplish with him, we'll put it this way. He's got 53 pop. He's going to be in that middle of the card. One of those guys that could break out to being upper mid card pretty easily. So he's got enough popularity where he won't struggle. So he's well ahead of a lot of other people in our company. So I don't think he'll do that bad. I think, if he had 40, he might struggle to get over, but because he's got that 50, he can really be involved in a lot more high-profile feuds. So I feel like we're going to be able to do a lot with Jay. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes when we do bring him in. I just want to take a quick look at a few people. Obviously, Dante Martin had a nice match on Rampage. Even though we're having some good, solid matches, it's not doing a hell of a lot for some guys. It obviously improved his popularity just in the Great Lakes, but across the board, no real change. So it's not, I feel like it should be a strategy that works. You have a really good match with a top guy. It doesn't always pay off. But for Dustin Rhodes, 44 pop from him, big match with MJF, it's kind of boosted him up more so to 45. So a small little growth. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's always a good idea to experiment. Some guys will work better. Obviously, if they have better momentum, that might help. In this case, Dustin does not, neither does Dante. So Dustin probably, because he had a main event spot, maybe that got him a little bit more. So that's a few things to kind of think about if you're playing your own game. How to get someone over without them beating someone. High profile matches, really good quality matches against a top guy can often work really, really well. The other thing, Ricky Starks, he got a win over Colt. So he's getting close to that 50 mark in the Southeast. He got 49, he's about 45 plus in every other area. So he's doing really well. I think he kind of gained a little bit of popularity after beating Col Commander as well, who is hovering around that mid to low 40s. So not a lot really happening for Colt. Obviously, he's losing and losing and losing. He's only had 4 wins this year, so he has struggled quite a lot. Even in Impact, when we sent him over there a few times, he didn't do that well. So it just hasn't been his year, but he is putting up some solid performances, averaging 60, which is really high considering his popularity. So he's got a bit of a value there for us, 100%. So speaking of Jay Lethal, Ring of Honor, they want to try and keep Jay. In real life, Ring of Honor's done. But for us, they are still a big factor. So Jay Lethal, well, he'd rather take less money and stay in Ring of Honor and not have to do an exclusive written deal. So maybe we won't go exclusive and we'll maybe go a 3-year deal for a bit less money. So for a bit more money and not an exclusive deal. So he could still stay with Ring of Honor if he wanted to. And I think he's a little bit more happier with that. So we won't poach him away from the other companies. I don't think we really need to. I don't think it's really needed. So yeah, we'll continue on. So there you go. That's kind of where we're headed. Storyline heat looking pretty good. We've had some progression with some of the storylines. Obviously, the Britt and Jade had a really good segment. Bobby Fish and Will Hobbs had a solid segment as well. Cody and MJF, not any technical progression in terms of storyline because everything was a minor change. So that's still hovering around low 80s. I need to get that up to nearly 85 plus, ASAP. Layla Hirsch and Hikaru Shida is really high, a lot higher than probably should be. The Elite storyline is 87, which is really, really good. You can keep that there, I'll be happy. Colton and Ricky's 51, that's solid. The Serena and Ruby's 43, that's good. The Inner Circle one has always been a little bit lower because we didn't do a lot with it for a while. So we're trying to recover. That's why we're having Chris Jericho cut a lot of promos, because we're trying to get that storyline back on track. And it's at 75 now, so it's not too far away. I think Sammy Guevara should be due to come back maybe next week. The Hardys and Lucha Bros is a little low, but hopefully we can increase that soon. The TNT title storyline is doing really, really well, 86. Varsity Blondes and 2.0 is okay, 44. And the tag storyline has been a little bit lower, a couple of, less than great matches in recent times, but I feel like the final few matches will be really good. Obviously, Anna Jay, mid-30s pop, she's gained a lot as of late, so she's doing really well. Ty Conti is probably the weak link in the group because their popularity is just really, really low. It's 32 in the Southeast, which is great, but everywhere else it's not so good. But obviously getting a win over Ali and getting a win over Penelope, I feel like they've lost a fair bit of popularity, so that's really helped out Anna Jay and Ty Conti. So we really need to invest in that as our top babyface tag team, because the other alternative is Red Velvet, whose popularity isn't good, and Brandy, which is good, but she's not a great wrestler, so that's a little bit tricky there as well. So I feel like TJ is the key. I feel like they are going to be our top women's tag team for the foreseeable future, and hopefully we can get them over. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And we are in week 3 of October, Full Gear, about 3 weeks away, so still a few more shows to get through. Hopefully you'll join us for them in the near future. Thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe to see more, and we'll be back very soon.